Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome to the Wildcast Studios for another episode of the Platinum Award-winning and longest-running QMJHL podcast, the Wildcast Podcast. We are unofficial voice of all things 2025 Joe Cotto Trophy Moncton Wildcats, presented by Discount Flooring Center, a division of Fabulous Flooring. They're home to the largest variety of high-end, current, and discontinued lines in hardwood, ceramic tile, laminate flooring, plush remodel tiles, and even blinds for immediate purchase. Located at 320 Culshaw Street in Moncton, or call them at 506-859-9909. As always, finishes. I am your host, Adam Lund. I'm doing this before Monday Night Football, so here's hoping. I'm here with your favorite co-host, Mr. YQM, Mr. Starbucks, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. How was your week, sir?
Well, I thought you'd never ask. Quite the adventure. So anybody who knows me knows kind of where I live. I'm not going to disclose where I live. But there is a fair amount of construction going on.
That doesn't even narrow it down.
No, it really doesn't.
People are like, Main Street? You live on Main Street?
No. So, anyways, Friday, my beautiful wife decided to take the car for a drive.
Yeah.
And there was an unmarked sewage drain pipe.
Yeah.
And drove over it. And it busted the front passenger and rear passenger tires at the exact same time.
Smashed the rims.
And smashed the rims. So this lovely gentleman here took care of me, brought my car, or he didn't bring it. The CA brought my car. Towed the car, and so I was without a car for the weekend. And got one Monday afternoon, again, thanks to this lovely gentleman. And Brent, is it Brent?
Brent Richardson, yeah.
Brent over at Speedy Auto Glass
Service.
Speedy Auto Glass Service.
Yeah.
Speedy Auto Service.
No glass.
No
Speedy
glass. Wrong one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Speedy's on, not the same thing. Speedy Auto Service on Mountain Road. They're taking good care of me. Got a car for me. But it's been quite the adventure. I will say that. This is the first time I've ever had to go through insurance for a claim. So some of these questions are like, were you under the influence of alcohol? No, not yet. I mean,
I got to keep answering these questions. Maybe.
Drugs? No. Were there any car seats in the car? I mean, yeah, but not being used at the time of the accident. Yeah. Was the car seat damaged? No. Were the airbags deployed? No. Like, we ran over a pipe. You know? We didn't go head on with the pipe.
Storage drain about much out of the ground.
Yeah.
The desk.
Yeah. And it wasn't marked off by the construction company, so thanks a lot, Northern Construction. Jerks. Yeah. Anyways, so just waiting to see what the damage is, and that's my story.
At least the Blue Jays don't suck. Remember 2 weeks ago when we came on here and we were worried? As long as they don't let Jeff Hoffman pitch in the ninth, they're good. I don't think yes, I did jump on the bandwagon. I'm cheering for them this year. I've seen it a couple times live. The access is there. So I basically watched every baseball game this year, unless I forget that it's on at 2:00 in the afternoon. But yeah, as long as they don't let Jeff Hoffman pitch in the ninth, they're great.
Yeah, he's had his up and downs. Fortunately, a lot of these games they've been winning by pretty good amounts, so he's not going in there with a 1-run, a 1-run game or a 2-run lead. I mean, there's that one game against Baltimore where he came in top of the ninth and gave up a homer. So,
but they came back and won. So
yeah. So I mean,
you know what I figured out about
it's actually crazy because what did I hear today? They only if they win only 7 of the remaining games, the Yankees still have to go like 13-0.
Yeah, if they go. I think the Gate 14 podcast had it.
Yeah,
if they go 10-7, the Yankees have to go like 15-0.
Yeah. So it's right. Like I guess right now they're and again, I don't understand the math, but their magic number to get a bye in the I'm so used to hockey, I call it first round, but to avoid playing the first games of the playoffs, their magic number is actually less than their magic number to clinch the AL East.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, their magic number is 5 just to get into the play.
Yeah.
Like, that gets a spot. The AL East is 10.
Yeah.
And I think I figured out why no one likes John Schneider.
Do tell.
I think he is an analytics.
He's very
the team.
I think not just him.
Like
The team is very analytical.
Yeah, and I think that's where you see the situation. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I questioned why he pinch hit for Bardi. Yeah. And then IKF hit in the ground ball.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out. He brings out a pitcher for left-hander matchups, like the guy that starts with V, Voldor, I think.
Varlin. Louis Varlin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was pitching, was dealing. Pitching great. He brings him out because there's 2 left-handers. Like, he's very analytical. They got up. I can't remember what game it was. They got up. They were up like 5-1 or something like that. They scored a couple runs in the bottom of the 8th to extend it. And I'm like, this is where you bring Jeff Hoffman in.
Yeah.
Let him come into a spot where he doesn't have to be in a nervous situation and let him get it figured out to close out a game with. But no, they went to somebody else because, well, they don't need Jeff Hoffman to pitch. So I think that's where a lot of people, me included, I'm old school. Like, I'm used to the Braves and Greg Maddux pitching, 9 innings, and Randy Johnson 9 innings, and you just don't have that. I think that's why a lot of people, they see him situations where you shouldn't take him out. Barrios in the playoffs last year, but analytics say take this guy out.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest issue with him that I've seen this season.
Yeah, and it's worked out a few times. It's come back to burn him a couple times. Let's be safe. They're at this point, they will make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It would be the biggest collapse if they don't.
Yeah.
But so it's going to be fun, to see them play, some October baseball, and the more wins they can get, the better. I'd love to see them, kind of have to not play those first couple games.
Yeah. Get
that bye, rest some players, because
get away from the wild card series.
No clue what's going on with Bichette right now. So the sooner he can come back, the better. Doesn't sound good, but we will. We'll see. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's they've been due for a season like this, and we're finally getting it.
Just out of curiosity, you don't want to go to Ontario with me for Thanksgiving at all, do you? In October? I'm just saying there may be a ALCS that starts Thanksgiving.
Well.
And then that's what I was like, hey, you want to go visit your team in Ontario?
I'll quote, what was it? The lion thing that came out on Netflix again.
Lion King?
No, the Joe, the lion guy.
The Lion. Oh no. People are probably screaming at us. Not the Lion King.
No, it's not Linda. Joe. It came out during COVID. Everybody watched it. Why are we drawing a blank on this right now?
Oh.
But the quote where he says, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like, that would be me if I went to Toronto on Thanksgiving for the ALCS.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to recover from that financially. So I'll probably pass on that one and watch it from the comfortable confines of my own
Tiger King.
Everyone
was screaming at Lion King. I know I said that to Layla. I was like, hey, we should probably go visit your family on Thanksgiving for no other reason than just go visit your family on Thanksgiving. Yeah. She's getting smarter than that. But we have a small problem, Jeremy.
Uh-oh.
Kiva's crawling. Kiva's walking.
She's
not walking, but she wants to. She's crawling. She's in gymnastics. She loved it. Just that was my weekend. Trying to catch my 7-month-old crawling all over the place and wanting to be up and on me and holds on to you. And then let's go with one hand and can't figure out why she can't stand. And then gets mad. You got to hold on to things, little one. It's crazy how fast it comes. Here we go. Once they start crawling, it's over. We're done. We're not done, but it's no longer not really paying attention to them anymore. You got to watch where they're going at all times. And now we have to baby-proof the house. But Wouldn't want it any other way. As always, don't forget to follow us on the social medias, Moncton Wildcast on Twitter, Wildcast Podcast on Instagram, TikTok Wildcast Podcast as well here on the YouTube. Don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. Lets us know you like what we're doing. Click that bell so you don't miss any of our episodes that come every week now, and any of the podcast post games live after each home game. All right, let's get into it. Regular season starts tomorrow. Not in Moncton. We're on the road. Still pissed about that, but whatever. Let's rattle some of these off. Let's pick some award winners.
Okay.
You crushed Rookie of the Year last year.
I did.
I don't think either one of us got MVP. I think we picked Enway and he was in the running. He probably should have, but so we're going to go MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach and GM, and top scorer.
Okay.
So let's go with top scorer in the league.
Top scorer in the league. I'm going to go with Justin Carbon.
Okay.
Yeah. Up in Blainville, I think they've made the moves to kind of put up some big numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're obviously, a heavy favorite going into the season.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to absolutely tear it up. If I were to go and kind of say someone that I think might contend for it, Philip Veilleux in Val-d'Or.
Okay. We are almost on the same wavelength here. Top scorer, I'm going Blainville, but I'm going with Bill Zonin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bill Zonin as the top scorer this year. Your coach of the year. What you think? I'm going to go with Daniel Renault from Shawinigan.
Okay.
I think they've got a strong team, and they were one shot away from facing us in the finals last year. So they've got some pieces there. I think Bondu, is the GM. He's fairly active in the trade period, so I like Daniel Renault and in Shawinigan as coach of the year.
Coach of the year, I'm going to go with Yannick Jean in Chicoutimi.
Okay. And I don't think we're going to have back-to-back coaches.
No.
GM of the year. I don't know if there's ever been a coach / GM that's won both, so that's why I didn't give him the coach of the year. But I think my GM of the year is Gordy Dwyer up in Newfoundland. They've got pieces and they've got picks to make some noise at the deadline. And I know it's not always about what moves are made at the deadline, as we found out last year. It's all year and whatever, but I think he's got a good shot with the picks he's got, with the players he's got, to kind of build that team and maybe have a nice long playoff run on the Rock.
Yeah, so I'll say Taylor finally gets it.
Yeah.
I think he was robbed last year.
I agree.
And just based on, anytime you win a championship, there's always that expectation that you're going to, fall off a little bit. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't seem to be the indication with this team whatsoever. So I think Taylor finally, after he should have won it last year, I think he'll finally get GM of the year this season.
Yeah, I typed it in, and then I got rid of it. I was like, I think that's where you're going to go, and I don't want both of us to have that. Rookie of the year. You want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first. I think it's
now this is, we went 08s and 09s, so not like
we're not going with Kuzma Voronin here, who's a 19-year-old Russian rookie. No, we're going to go with.
And I did have to ask him. I'm like, so what are we doing? 08s, 09s? Or are we doing anybody with an asterisk, which is a rookie?
Yeah. So we're going to do either a 16 or a 17-year-old playing their first season in the league.
I'm going to go with the player in division.
Mm-hmm.
Plays on an island. He was the 7th overall pick. I'm going to go with Antoine Provoche. Because I remember that's a player that you talked a lot about. Austin talked about in the lead up to the draft.
Yeah.
I think one of you had him a little bit earlier. I think Austin had him 4th to Quebec, and he just kind of fell, I guess, to 7. So I think a player with his skill there, Charlottetown hasn't had that skillful guy that can put the puck in the net. I think he's got a good shot to be Rookie of the Year.
It's a very. I didn't think that's where you were going to go. So
Alexi
Alexi Joseph.
I thought about it, but I think the way you guys talked about, and I know you guys talked about Alexi Joseph being that good, but I think the team helps out a little bit more, and I think the team in Charlottetown is a little bit better than what St. John's going to be. So I think that's going to help Provencher take Rookie of the Year. Now I was way off last year. If you guys remember, I took Sacos. Way off. Wasn't even close. This guy nailed it with Matev Grandin. So who's your pick this year, sir?
All right, so there's a couple. I know I can only pick one.
Yeah.
I will say that I think this season will be a very good year for rookies.
Mm-hmm.
The 08s and 09s are an amazing group. I will say I'll lead eventually to my pick. I'm not going to try to drag this on at all very, very long, but the first name I'm going to mention is in Halifax. He's one of the Euros. I need to get his name here because I'll probably forget what it is. Oleg Kulibiakin. This is what I'm going to say about this kid. He's either going to be an absolute stud or he's going to be a bust.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what I've seen so far, he's going to be a very good player. I don't like taking Euros because I don't really think they consider themselves to be rookies, although I picked one last year. So
I don't take Euros unless I'm bang on
that picks. Yeah, exactly. So that's my first one. My second one is ironically going to be Maxwell Brinton in Rimouski.
Oh, okay.
But my also is going to lead into who I also think will be Rookie of the Year, and that is Zach Arsenault in Rimouski. Second overall pick. This has nothing to do with Alexi Joseph. He's going to be an extremely very good player for St. John. I'm not saying he's overhyped a little, but I also think Zach Arsenault is going to be able to play in a lot more situations, which is going to allow him to be a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more seen. That's not the word I'm looking for, but
more chances.
Yeah, more chances, more opportunities. Yeah. He's probably going to play power play. He's going to play a lot 5-on-5. He's going to be a top player in Rimouski. So I'll go with Zach Arsenault. But let's be honest, if it's not Alexi Joseph, then I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
You don't find very many 6'5", 200-pound, 16-year-olds.
No, they can put the puck in the net. Yeah. And again, this isn't our bias against St. John. This is just there's rookies in better situations, I think, that have more opportunities. So Jeremy took 3 and narrowed it down to Zach Arsenault, and I took Antoine Provencher. Your MVP, I said earlier, we were on kind of the same wavelength. I think I'm going to go Philip Bayou in Val-d'Or. I think he's the MVP. I know Justin Charbonneau is the easy pick. Honestly, if Caleb was here from start to finish, Caleb would be my MVP pick for the league. Mm-hmm. But I think just if Val-d'Or is going to go anywhere and they kind of hit lightning in the bottle at the end of last year and kind of had some success and then just didn't make any noise to play off as we anticipated, I think he's going to be a big part of that team. They got better in the offseason. I think he's well on his way to being an MVP candidate.
MVP candidate. Okay. I actually totally forgot about this one because I thought we were only doing top score. So
I narrowed it down to 7 players.
Yeah. I'm actually, Philip Bayou, I picked him as my top scorer because I thought I didn't know you were doing MVP. Mm-hmm. So let me run off some names here. I'll be with you in just one moment. I'm gonna go with Maxime Massé.
Okay, Coach of the Year in Chicoutimi.
Coach of the Year,
MVP in Chicoutimi.
Yeah. So,
is that foreshadowing, Mr. Boucher?
Yeah, potentially.
We don't know.
So, this is obviously a guy that's, it's going to be his fourth year in the league. Yeah, 16, 17. Yeah, 4th year in the league. I had to count there. As you can see, I'm not very mathematically intelligent.
It happens.
I just think he's due. You know, he's a guy, like I said, been around for a few years now. He's had some runs in the playoffs. He's had some early exits in the playoffs. And I think this is the year that Chicoutimi kind of hits it. This is the year.
Yeah,
right? This is it. And I think he's another player that's just going to have every opportunity to put up numbers and really carry that team. No, he's going to be the team. If he's not contributing, then they're not going to be successful.
Yep. 100%. So those are picks. Coach of the Year, MVP, GM of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and top scorer. How many did we get right this year? Last year we got one. And it was the rookie.
I like our odds.
Yeah.
I think we're good this year.
All right, let's get into it.
Wildcast Training Camp Report.
Camp has come and gone, and it is now time to discuss this group and what expectations we're feeling for. It's going to be a good team. It's going to be a top four. I think a top four contending team. I think most nights, again, the NCAA rule, there's not a team in this league that benefited more than the Moncton Wildcats with the NCAA decision making. So I think that is a big factor. I don't know what kind of start they get off to because we got 9 guys at camp, but I will say the schedule to start the year, other than the Newfoundland game, is fairly favorable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is on paper. Everybody got better, but you got 2 against Newfoundland, which were very good last year, and we had trouble with them because they're a team that they're tough, they're physical, and if they're losing, Gordy Dyer wants to injure people. Then you got Cape Breton. They're on a bit of a rebuild. St. John, Halifax, Rimouski, Halifax, Val-d'Or, Victoriaville, Charlottetown, Halifax. So you've got a lot of games in there that they can get off to a pretty good start. And before that road trip, and I think that's the road trip I have circled where you got St. John, Blainville, Sherbrooke, and Rimouski in November. That's the road trip that you're looking for Denway to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they've got a fairly favorable schedule to be, more than just at 500 over that month of October.
Yeah, I don't think you could ask for a better schedule to start the season. And I think if you go to Newfoundland and get yourself a split, that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah. They got 12 games until November 2nd against St. John. So
if Denway is back by November 2nd, I think we're potentially changing our MVP.
Yeah,
because there's that's still. I mean, he's still got an opportunity to play 50 games, and we all know what he can. I think he had the highest points per game last season, so we know what he's capable of doing. If he only plays 50 games and he's a 2 points per game player, you're north of that 100 mark, and that's doing some damage. So we'll see where that happens, but no, I think. The first month of the schedule is an opportunity for us to get off to a pretty good start, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing who's back in the lineup for Thursday, because if not, you're really throwing darts, putting together a forward group and a D group. So I'm I think this team, like you said, top 4, top 5. I think you got Blainville, you got Chicoutimi. I think you can't overlook Val-d'Or. I think Moncton's in that conversation. Newfoundland, Charlottetown, Shawinigan. Yeah, there's probably 6 teams that are probably going to separate themselves. The trade deadline, there's going to be some interesting names available, and I think that's if there's 6 teams gunning for the same guy, it's gonna put prices up. But we've seen some pretty elevated values as of late in recent trade periods. So I don't see anything different.
I think that'll be an interesting trade deadline too, because in previous years you had everybody knows there's picks coming and this and that and futures, and again my annual. Please just put future considerations on deals in the NHL. Like if there are future considerations, put it out there. Denway, by the way, had 84 points in 56 games last year. and he was on, and that was a slow start for him and Sump and Karchek to get going. So, I think when you look at what they have going into this, again, we don't have an official roster yet on what this looks like, but it's going to come down to how quickly these guys gel. I mean, we got 9 guys at camp, which how long they'll be there for. I imagine Gabe will be there for a bit. Mutrin will be there for a bit. Walnius will probably be there for a bit, and obviously Denway is up till October. It's just who do you put with who? And I think the thing that worries me, I guess, it's just how young the defense is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's maybe a bit of concern, at least early on. When you look at this roster, you've got Nikat, Batchelder, Blyle, Diamond. Diamond played a little bit, but that's 4 guys of your 6 that have not played a lot AFQ. 2 that haven't played any. 3 that haven't played any, and 1's played 10, 12 games. So I think that's, for me, where I kind of put a little bit of the, not worry, but something like worry into.
For me, it's like, for Lyle looks like a seasoned veteran.
That's true.
You know, you wouldn't think he's a guy that played, prep school last year with Cushing. He looks like a guy that's been in the league for 2 or 3 seasons now. The way he controls himself, and he's so poised, and there's no panic in his game, and so that's kind of exciting. And you're probably, I think if there's one of those players that come back, Otto Magnuson is on a trial with Detroit, so he's will he make it to a main camp? Probably not. So there's a good chance we might see him on Thursday, and same thing with Mercier again. He's on a trial with Ottawa, so maybe we see him back. We'll see, but.
Dylan McKinnon's still on the roster.
Dylan McKinnon was taken off and then re-added, and so that's something to keep an eye on as well. So it's
I would say an indication on maybe the camp Mercy's having or the camp Keemon's having. If you have a rookie goaltender, you get a little bit of veteran experience in there, I would say.
And that's another good point. Like, there's at this point, Weiner. Is it Weiner or Wiener?
Well, I'm going to go with Weiner because I don't feel like calling him Wiener.
No.
So I'm going to go with Weiner.
Yeah. So if Rudy's gone and he's your number 1, so you're automatically putting him into right straight to the fire. But then who you bringing on as your backup is another question.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, I mean, I saw that Montreal released Van Eggs, so he's going to be back in Newfoundland for Thursday. So that's their number 1 goalie. So that's going to benefit them over Moncton. So I think the hope is that all these guys are back in time for the home opener, because that's kind of what you want these guys that won a title last year to be in the building when that banner is raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I know fortunately last year we had these guys back by the second weekend of the season, right? So I think most of these guys will be back in time for that road trip to Cape, but ideally they're back in time by the 4th of October for the home opener.
Which sadly we will not be at this year. The double in.
Oh, home opener.
No, we'll be at the home opener. We're not going to Cape Breton this year. In the first year, we looked at it as a family trip, but not quite going there. And I think this weekend you start with Jacoby Weiner. I'm going to call him Weiner. This makes more sense as your starter. And at last year in his 48 hours, I was very impressed with him. This year, I've been very impressed with him. We got the goalie guru who's been able to work with him for almost 2.5 months. So I feel really good about if he's starting. But again, you're getting a team in Newfoundland that I think will have basically the full roster ready to go. And it's preseason and it takes another level up, but they've looked really good in the preseason. We usually do this every year before we start. I need some players that you're most looking forward to this season.
On the team?
Yeah, on our team.
Yeah.
We've both taken Gabe. We've both taken Mercier. So I kind of want to stay away from the veterans that are back, Lounsbury, Sampson, that kind of thing. Just guys that you're excited to see. I just said one of mine, and that's Jacoby Weiner in net.
Yeah.
I think, look, I know we joked about it last year that we weren't going 64-0, and they did their best going 53-9. And we're not going to talk about last year a whole lot once the season starts. That's last year. Now we're on this year. But I was thinking to myself, hey, Rudy's never lost in the regular season. I mean, at this point, but he has not lost a lot of hockey games. But at the same token, your backup needs to come in and win hockey games to take that risk, to take that off him. So Jacoby Weiner's one of mine. I got two, so I'll wait till I get another one. What do you have?
Yeah, so the one player that I'm excited to watch, and I think he's going to quickly become a fan favorite, is Kuzma Voronin.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy, he's got, I would say, 2.5 years of USHL experience. So he has the North American experience. But if you look at his, and I know people are going to, his stats are and everything, but they're very underwhelming numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last season with Youngstown, 16 points in 33 games. Then goes to Fargo, 12 points in 16 games. I mean, those aren't, they're not, if you're going through a stat page, those aren't numbers that are going to make you, say, wow.
Yeah.
But this is also a guy who played, and I know it was the under 16 league in the States, but had 136 points in 73 games. So the offensive game is there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the offensive upside. And he's going to be playing top six. Who he plays with is another story. The shot that we saw him take in the preseason or the inter-squad game, where he rips the water bottle off, then skates behind the net and takes a drink out of it. Just don't do that, okay? Keep the celebrations to a minimum. That's a little extreme.
On the board said they're looking for him having a fight with the goalie.
Yeah. Somebody thinks he's going to have a fight with a goalie this year. I'm not going to be against it, but I really think he's going to be an offensive force and someone that's just going to take fans out of their seats with his wheels in his hands. So he's a guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing him up front, and obviously the back end, Tommy Blyle. Everything we've seen from him in the preseason, he's Jordan Spence 2.0. Spence probably has a better shot, but Tommy is he's your power play quarterback. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. It's his NHL draft year as well with a late birthday, so he's going to want to make a good impression here.
Yeah, and the other one that I have is forward, and it's #Chub the Stud. 28 points in 52 games last year at prep school, and again, it's prep school. It's different than the Q, but what we've seen from him in training camp, slick hands, top six, and if he can play with Denway more than not this season, I mean, that's a guy that just go to the net, find a spot, make things happen, and we now know that Denway is getting his wrist fixed, so maybe he's more of a shooter than he was last year. But even if he's still passing the way he is, to see Chudzinski again, who is his dad was quarterback coach, he's a sports guy. He's got a high IQ. I think he's just going to take an excellent step this year, and I'm excited to see him play in our top six.
I actually heard he's going to start on the third line.
Oh, really?
So we'll see how that plays out. But I expected him to be as a top six guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have the professionals who look after this team must have different ideas.
We're just two guys behind a microphone.
Yeah.
I realized I put MVP of the Wildcats. pretty sure we have the same MVP going into this year.
Rudy Guimont.
Rudy Guimont going 40-0.
39-1.
Hey, we will take. I think that's the expectation for how many games he plays. I think he plays 40 games, and I think goaltenders have played 30 to 40 games, 35 to 40 games for the Wildcats. So I think the expectation is he plays 40. Weiner plays 20. But obviously the MVP, if he comes back and is the player that he's supposed to be and tears this league up, he could be the MVP of the league and easily the MVP back-to-back of this team. So that's our captain. But yeah, I think that's good. Unless you've got anything else on this team you want to get into.
You going to talk about season ticket pickups and stuff like that, or is that later in the show?
I was going to do that later in the show, but go get your season tickets.
Yeah.
Now.
And single game tickets go on sale Friday at noon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Friday at noon?
This Friday at noon, single game tickets go on sale.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So sell at the home opener and then the next game as well.
That is fantastic because all the reports I heard were at the end of the month, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out how they were going to be at the end of the month. When the home opener's on the 4th, you had all of the people ready to buy everything last year, and then no single game tickets yet. So
September 19th, Friday at noon, Ticketmaster.ca.
Home opener, October 4th. Let's sell it out. Let's do it.
All
right. You know what? We got somebody waiting backstage. He's a good friend of the show. Actually, one might say he's one of the best friends of the show. Let's get to him.
View from the other bench.
All right. So we finish off. View from the other bench presented by Waterworks Pools and Spas, providing Atlantic Canadians with custom in-ground pool spa service and supplies since 1986. If you're looking for a new spa service or maintenance by their trained technicians or getting your pool from green to clear, go see them at 195 Killam Drive in Moncton or call them at 506-859-1980. We're going to finish off our look around the Atlantic Division because there's no divisions anymore. That's a whole nother rant for a whole nother show. With one of the two teams, the Wildcats are set to face the Cape Breton Eagles. And this, we're honored right now.
Yep.
We now have the second most guest appearances by this fine gentleman from the voice you know, the voice you love, the soothing sounds of Patrick McNeil. Welcome in, Patrick.
Hey, thanks for having me. Presumably soothing sounds if people didn't get tired of them during that 5 overtime game. If they didn't at that point, then they still like listening to me.
That's exactly where I'm going to start. How did you get through that? I don't think we've talked to you since then. Again, I told you off-site, I think your call of that first overtime goal, as much as it was cool that you guys ended up winning, I actually would have preferred the first ending because that was the greatest goal call. And I haven't watched the YouTube, but I hope you talked about it. The greatest call, and I told you this at the Memorial Cup. Does Jules Boyard have the Cape Breton Eagles number in his phone because he has their number 2 years in a row? Did you have that written down in case? Just talk about one of the best goal calls of the year.
The best goal call there wasn't, I guess. I didn't. It just came to me on the spot, and I'm glad you appreciated it because sometimes you'll say something that you think is kind of clever and people don't notice. And I think in that case, people would be forgiven for not noticing because so much other stuff happened after that. But if anybody's watching that's not an Eagles super fan, the Eagles went to a long OT game. One of the goals that was disallowed, multiple of them, was scored by the same guy that eliminated the Eagles from the playoffs the previous year. And now a gentleman playing in your backyard, actually, the University of Moncton, Jules Bollard.
It's the other one that's in Shawinigan.
That's right. Raoul. Yeah.
Couldn't remember which one was going where.
Look, Pat, obviously here to talk about Cape Breton. They've got a promising rookie, Samuel Boyer, had big numbers last year in Quebec. What have you seen from him so far in the preseason, and what kind of expectations do you see him having as a rookie?
Well, I think they're going to give him an opportunity to play in the top 6. He looked really good at camp last year, 48 hours. He did the 48 hours, then left to retain his eligibility last year when that was the state of the world. Obviously not a concern now. And he was really strong in camp and not a player who lacks confidence. That's for sure. I think he's got a real purpose about him. and he'll get an opportunity to play in all key offensive situations, I think, on an Eagles team that's probably not as young as people think it is, but still, despite him being a 17-year-old rookie, I think he's going to be somebody who gets counted on a lot. Particularly, we still have questions about the 20-year-old situation, but if one of the odd men out ends up being a forward, then that opens up all the more ice time for him.
Defenseman, one of the most talked about last year. He's now the captain of the Eagles. And by talked about, there was a lot of rumors of him going to a certain team at the draft, and it never did happen. But Thomas Lavoie, I mean, it's crazy to think how fast time goes. When you were on a show, the draft episode, and we're talking between him or Gabriel Dag, who do you take? You take the goalie, you take the defenseman. He's coming in now to his 19-year-old season as the captain. Just like you said, this isn't as young a team as people think, but it is still a young team after the past 2 years. And just having the leadership he had in the last couple of years, what kind of leader does he bring to, this defensive core that looks pretty young?
Yeah, I think his leadership is very important, not just because he's a natural leader, but it's a team that's undergone so much change. He's a third-year player on a team that doesn't have any other full third-year players off the top. Well, Xavier Dag, apologies to him, that they've been along for the whole ride for 4 years, actually. Now this will be year 4. But, yeah, it goes by quickly with a lot of different teams in his case. He's their number one pick. There's obviously going to be a lot of pressure, and he's always been someone who you could consider a star, but maybe didn't quite live up to that billing until last year. We really started to see what a dominant player he could be. Now he's going to come back with a second pro camp. Whether we see him opening weekend, I don't know if he'll still be in Utah. I think there's probably a good chance we'll see him for opening home weekend when the Eagles play the Wildcats. I'm not sure if you guys will be there for that, but yeah, we certainly look forward to seeing what he can do this year. And he's going to have a lot of pressure. The C is adding to that responsibility, but I think he learned from some good leaders that came before him, Zach Bigger and Jacob Newcomb, 2 guys that I know he looks up to. And I know when he was a rookie, he had a really close relationship with Jeremy Langlois, and he actually took it really hard when he got traded to Quebec. And obviously, he got to see what he went on to do with the Ramparts at winning there. So I think this is a chance for him to really try to take the team on his back, and maybe it'll be a situation of the team will go as far as Thomas Lavoie can take it for as long as he remains an Eagle wearing the C.
Yeah, there's obviously some turnover in Cape Breton. No Squires, no Newcomb, no Henneberry, no Burbridge, no Patterson. Go down the list, and it offensively looks a little bleak. I guess who do you see kind of stepping up and being the main contributor for the Eagles this season?
Yeah, and that's what I was just talking about, where a guy like Boye has an opportunity, depending on what happens up front. Is that right now you've got 4 20-year-olds, and you've got both Gendron and Romeo in that potential mix. A guy like Roman Letallier, first-round pick last year, 4th overall, 17, but he's going to have every opportunity. You never know. You look around the league, it seems like there's a lot of 17-year-old rookies. I know the Wildcats bucked that trend. Definitely, if anything showed their intention to contend, I think it was the fact they picked 3 19-year-olds in the import draft. But 2 17-year-olds here in Adam Klaus and Maxime Solche, both who I think are going to be really strong players in the queue, but how good they are this year, we'll see. I think you might get a bit of a revolving door in the early going in terms of who gets responsibility, but we just talked about the team not being as young as people think. This is actually a team that brought in 6 new 19-year-old players, which a lot of people might not realize. And I think around the league, and you guys know a little bit about this because of how Moncton has built their team. Yes, you have guys that are drafted into the NHL that you bring in, like I'm Muturin for you guys as one example. But there's a lot of these 18, 19-year-old free agents coming into the States. We don't know what they're going to have to offer at the Q level. So the Eagles, Blake Burke as a forward, obviously look really good in preseason. It's going to be harder in the regular season. Is he a top 6 guy, or is he going to be somebody who settles down to the lower end of the lineup? Same Noah Jettleson on the back end, and Connor Toole, who's going to be the likely backup goaltender. But you'd mentioned it, and I don't know if I'm jumping the queue of questions you were going to ask. I think goal scoring is probably the biggest question you have to ask, because when it comes to the other positions, goaltending, Felix Hamel was, I think, 3rd in the league in save percentage last year. So I don't think there's any concern there. You look at the defense, there's actually a lot of continuity. You lose Braden Schmidt and Andrew Brown, and Xavier Dag is one of the 420s, so you don't know what's going to happen there. But obviously, Braden Schmidt was a very good player during his time in Cape Breton, but we probably didn't see the absolute best of him last year because he was coming off that car accident. You get the continuity with Lavoie coming back, Dag maybe coming back as well, as said, depending on the 20s. Jettleson, as I mentioned, is 19. Samuel Coupet's one of the guys you bring in, is also 19. You'd expect Quinn and McCullough to take steps forward. Della Durante has some experience as well. So I think it really is the forward core that's the question of this team that's in flux for sure. But again, more experienced perhaps than people are giving credit for. Sorry to give a long-winded spiel there. I guess the other thing to go back to the goal scoring, the team, I guess you'd call it buying a couple of lottery tickets up front with 19-year-olds. Reese Pike was somewhat of a high pick. Maybe he gets his game back when he comes to Nova Scotia. And the other interesting one is Elliot Letellier. Probably some comfort level getting to play in a team with his brother, but this is a guy who was a high draft pick in his own right, but he's just been so hampered by injuries. You'll see this every now and then, a first-round pick who only really puts it together when he's 19, and I think that's even more likely to happen if it's a player that's been injury-prone and then finally gets healthy. So don't count him out as being a guy who can make big offensive contributions for the Eagles this season.
Yeah, you kind of touched on the goaltending, and I was looking at Hamel's stats. What are you talking? He's only played 22 games, but sometimes a guy just needs an opportunity to be a starter, and he had a really good save percentage. So, but I want to go away from the goaltending that I usually go to, and I want to talk about the new coach, Jason Clark. We talked to Drew Bear many times about Louis, and I said it just seems like it took them a while to get going, and then once they got under Louis and kind of understood things, and then they took off. And I don't know if it was a situation where he didn't want to go through a rebuild or it just had run its course. But in talking about former coach Jason Clark coming in, what do you see from him in his camp and how he's put this team together, and what kind of team we're going to see on the ice, not only in 2 weeks, but this season?
Yeah, I think accountability is going to be a big thing from what I've seen. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to take a lot of guff, but yet doesn't necessarily seem like the antithesis of a player's coach either. I get the impression he seems to be getting along just fine with everybody so far. I had some good interviews with him when he coached in Bathurst, so I always enjoyed talking to him. So it's a real changeover in Cape Breton. You look at all the roster changes, but not only is Jason Clark coming in as a new head coach, he's got two new assistant coaches as well, all coming from different places with Josh Dubinsky and Adam Palat. And you do retain Blade Man Dixon, so there's some consistency there with the goaltending coaches. But yeah, it's a whole new staff getting an opportunity to put their mark on things. And I think maybe it's a good thing to have all the roster turnover in a year you're bringing in a new coach, because at least these guys maybe not in any sort of pre-existing patterns of their time in Cape Breton. He has an opportunity to implement his own routines and structure. And I know that was the long-term plan, was a big thing Sylvain Couturier was a fan of when he hired Jason Clark. Obviously, he's got familiarity with him from when he coached in Bathurst, but he really liked the long-term vision that he had for the Eagles, which is obviously a key part. It's not just about what the team can do this year, it's what they can do in the long term. And I think so far so good in terms of the impression he's left. Obviously, it's easier to say that when you're seeing a guy at a golf tournament and pancake breakfast as opposed to when you have that first losing streak of the season. But so far so good in the early going, I guess, for Jason Clark. But again, easy to say before there's been a meaningful minute of hockey played.
Yeah, looking at the there's the Quebec media that posts their predictions this year.
I think I know where we're going with this one.
Yeah, it's just the one that catches my eye, and I can't. I think Jerome, who said that the Eagles would be the biggest disappointment of the season. Look, I know they're going to be rebuilding, but I don't think they're going to be the biggest disappointment of the season. Nor do I think they're going to make the playoffs. Where do you see this team realistically finishing this season?
You know what? I think predictions are a fool's errand at the best of times. This year, even more so, just because of there's so much change in the league. And obviously, all the talk about the NCAA. 3 Europeans, I think, is a change that people are kind of sleeping on in terms of how much that's going to affect things. To me, this Eagles team has a very, very wide range of outcomes. I don't see them as being a contender for a league championship per se, but there's certainly a team that, if all goes well, could have a very good regular season and maybe upset one of those teams. And it's also possible on the other end. But I don't see the bottom end being as bad as being a non-playoff team. Jerome Goodrow is somebody I've developed a good relationship with. I've had a lot of good interviews with him.
Well, not that good of a relationship with it. He's picking them.
He likes to stir things up, though, so I'm not surprised he would try to get people talking. I guess it succeeds on this podcast. But you look at the Maritime Division, I think people might be guilty of taking too quick a look at this Cape Breton teams, because you look at Moncton. They're a team that was so strong last year that even with all the guys they lost, they brought in all these new faces that most people think, okay, they're going to at least be good. And then you look at all the other 4 teams, you look at them instinctively as all having got older. But I think the Eagles probably weren't where they wanted to be last year, but that sometimes tends to bounce back. So you could see them be better than expected this year. If you look at the overall age gap, it's not really that much of a younger team than last year. New coach, there can always be positivity there. I just think there's a lot of question marks that can go either way. And realistically, when you have that situation, the odds of everything working out or everything not working out are probably pretty low. You're probably going to win some, you're going to lose some. So I see this as being kind of a middle of the road team. I would certainly be surprised if we won the league title, but I think I'd be equally surprised if we missed the playoffs.
I'd be surprised if you won the league title too.
I got to cheer the team. What can I say?
Yeah, no, I get it. Playoffs the last 3 years, going to the semifinals 2 years ago, back-to-back losses to Bacomo, not to drill it in, but when you talk about what this team can be expectation-wise and based off that, based on what you're thinking, or Drew Bear or us or whatever, how much of this schedule is going to factor into this? Because not only is it a new team, new coach, new players, new league, Cape Breton's getting a new schedule: 2 home games, 2 road games, 8 home games, 6 road games. Like, you're not playing every team. You're playing 2 in a row, 4 in a row, 6 on the road. Like, how is that going to be for the team as well as for the fan expectation of 3 straight playoffs? We don't know what we're getting, and it's such a weird schedule.
Well, I think there'll be some disappointment. And for those that don't know the ins and outs of what Adam's talking about, this is a byproduct. And apologies.
I don't even know the ins and outs of what I'm talking about.
Apologies if you guys have explained this. My listening comes up and on because I was actually talking to a player in the queue earlier today that was unaware of the reason that this was all happening. What Adam's talking about the Eagles not playing every team home or away, because of the logistics of going into Newfoundland. If you go to Newfoundland, you've got to play 2 games there. So. Yeah. Because Newfoundland's got those 24 games against Quebec-based teams, rather than have 1 home, 1 away against all of them, they're playing 2 at home against 6 of them and 6 away against the others. Well, obviously, that creates a schedule imbalance for all the 12 Quebec teams. So what's happening is Cape Breton's being used to correct that imbalance. So us, just like Newfoundland, have 6 teams that will play at home twice and 6 teams will play on the road twice. And already seeing the effects of it because one good Monctonian boy, Luke Patterson, pretty popular player during his 3 years in Cape Breton. And there's some fans in Cape Breton now that are going to be disappointed to learn they're never going to see him play at Center 200 again, barring a playoff matchup or a trade, because Rimouski does not come to Center 200 this year. So from a marketing point of view, there's a bit of a challenge there for the staff. I mean, no disrespect to any individual team, but how often you hear about, a draggy Wednesday night against Val-d'Or. Well, if you're the Eagles office, you got to sell back-to-back games against Val-d'Or now.
Yeah.
So back-to-backs are tough from a marketing point of view. I think from a scheduling point of view, and Newfoundland obviously has to deal with this too, it may be a slight disadvantage against the Eagles in so much that I think a bigger part of home ice advantage, as opposed to playing in front of your own fans, is the travel element. And if you're playing a back-to-back, then a lot of that home ice has been reduced in the second game. Now, I would love to do a deeper dive into that. That would be interesting to know if a team's winning percentage at home goes down on the second night of a back-to-back. That's just a theory. I haven't done any research on it, but that's something to look at. But yeah, you're right, Adam. It is going to be different. And it's like anything else. You can use it as an opportunity as well. And I guess from a coach's point of view, the back-to-backs make for greater preparation. The long road trips, that can provide some challenges. There's an opportunity to do team bonding during the middle of the trip. From a preparation point of view, sometimes you almost break it down like it's 2 trips. I know traditionally we've done 4 3-game Quebec trips, and then in the past we've experimented with 2 3s and a 6. This year there's a 7 because we play a game in Moncton on the way home. So that's a very unique one. That if you're going to have me on throughout the year, maybe after that would be an interesting time. And I can tell you
January 18th to make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I think from the coach's point of view, you just try to, okay, this is different. How can we use how different this is to our advantage, and more so than anything else? But yeah, you're right. It's Cape Breton, and I guess Newfoundland too, are kind of an outlier in respect to how they shape up in the schedule with the rest of the league.
Yeah.
And we know nobody loves long road trips like you, Pat, because we get to experience all your favorite dairy bars across the
yeah, I'm missing stuff. Mr. Puff's right across the street from the hotel in Rouyn-Noranda. Won't be getting much.
Oh man, what a life!
We hate you because we ain't you. That's how this goes.
Yeah, this is Pat McNeil's life. We're just living it.
Yeah.
No Mary's popcorn in Quebec City this year either.
Oh no.
Taking L's left, right.
Oh, now you get the new arena in Newfoundland to find out if there's actually a Mary Brown's in the Mary Brown Center. Or you got to go outside of it to get it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know if this is I don't know what the right word I'm looking for. I don't know if it's a mental thing or not, but Mary Brown's tastes better in Newfoundland. There's a science behind that, and I don't know what it is. You can get a can of crushed birch beer, which you can't get anywhere else, so that's part of what makes it taste better, I would say. But I look forward to going to Newfoundland, and also a plug for another project, the All 60 podcast with Steve McLean has came up in conversation that I recorded before this, but will air after this.
Yeah, he's never had.
I'm actually hitting 2 new rinks this year because I don't know if you guys talked about the St. John experiment with the 3 quote-unquote neutral site games they're having in Fredericton. One of them is against the Eagles, so I'll get a chance to call a game at the Aiken Center this year as well. So another one off the list for me, which is nice.
There you go. I know it's always a tough question for you where we ask for your finals prediction, and you kind of have to, where your
trouble company line.
Yeah, you got to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. So I mean, if you want to pick the Eagles, you can pick the Eagles. I totally understand it, but I will ask you that question this season for understandable reasons. But I guess who do you give me your league MVP pick?
Well, I can do a final prediction.
No, he's doing both. Yeah,
I don't think I can. I'm not sure how that went last year. I think the betting lines last year would have been on Moncton or Rimouski. I think this year it's a little bit more wide open. I will go with what's probably the consensus. I do think it's going to be Blainville. I'll say Chicoutimi, the losing finalist, but I'll say I don't see any team being on the level of, to me, Rimouski they were the second best team in the league. And yes, they did get challenged by Shawinigan in that semifinal, but I don't see any team in the league this year being even on Rimouski's level. And that's not a slight to these teams. Moncton and Rimouski were so strong last year. I just think there is kind of a weakness. I think going into the year, Moncton is the ultimate wild card to me because you don't know how these new parts could go. They could be a team that ends up 4th in the division, or they could be a league finalist, and neither of those things would surprise me. But when you look at I think the 3 teams heading into the year that people were looking at were Blainville, Shawinigan, and Chicoutimi. You look at Blainville, the 2 European goaltenders is kind of interesting. New head coach, and they kind of have a bit of a no-name defense outside of that top pair. Well, if they assuming Villeneuve and Gill will play together. So, and there's question marks. Malota was good for Cape Breton last year, but I wouldn't have said he was in the league's elite. So maybe goaltending is a little bit of question mark there. Chicoutimi to me, again, very strong, but not quite as deep as Blainville. Some of that might come down to how good some of their new acquisitions are. Yannick Jean has kind of been chasing that elusive playoff success. Is that going to happen for him this year? As for Shawinigan, I think they're a team. People are underestimating how good the players that left are. They're looking and seeing they're returning so many of their players, but they are losing 3 of their 5 leading scorers from last season. But I understand that they would be, if I didn't pick Blainville or Chicoutimi, they'd be kind of the next on dock. And as I said, I think Moncton is the great variable in all this. I was predicting that when this whole NCAA thing happened, that there will be at least one team that would just kind of roll the dice and go all in, bringing in a bunch of free agents. And hey, Wildcats are that team. So we'll see how it works. As for an MVP, well, I guess I'm going to be consistent. If Blainville's the team I'm putting the basket in with the eggs, I will say Justin Carbonneau for league MVP. I mean, a huge season at 18. No reason to believe he's not going to come back even better and stronger, as obviously a lot of quality teammates around him. But there's a lot of talent in the league. I will say he will get the nod. And Bill Zonin actually his new teammate might be the one that gives him the biggest challenge. But he's somebody I expect to be crowned league's MVP. I will preface that by saying that if Caleb Desnoyers was healthy and in Moncton to start the season, he would be my pick. But obviously, that's not the reality we're living in. Much like my Bengals are living without Joe Burrow. Wildcats without
not bad. Took 15 minutes for him to get on the Bengals.
Yeah, look, man, hey, at least Desnoyers is expected to come back this season. So
that's true. And hey, he might show up in Newfoundland. We have no idea. Radio silence. He might. These kids now, they heal quickly. I don't think he will be. Just to put that out there, so don't quote all the guys on the podcast.
Be back for game 1 of the playoffs, right?
TIR. Yeah. Once again, Pat, you deliver every single time you're on. Congrats on now in the silver spot of the most guests, still behind Mr. Tozer, but you've now moved into the silver spot. Like I told you, I hope I did it right by giving you the intro you deserve. We're excited to have you on more this season. So once again, thanks for joining us, man.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's always fun. I was like talking to you guys, and I really appreciate you putting in the work to try to keep the fans informed. And it's not only fun to talk hockey, but it's also, I look at this, and hopefully other people in my position do as well. It's a good excuse for me to try to brush up on things as well. So if you're making me work harder, that just means everybody wins, I think, at the end of the day.
And that's what everybody wants. All righty, Patty.
All right.
Enjoy the season. Good luck to you, and have a good one.
All right. You too. Thanks, guys.
The soothing sounds, Pat McNeil in our ears every year. He's literally bang on. Like, they are a team, much like almost everyone in this division. First or fourth. There's a couple teams that are fifth and sixth, but first or fourth. Mm-hmm. That's where they can fish. Like, you talked about last year on how wide open this division was last year or 2 years ago. I think it's even more wide open this year than it has been.
Yeah. It's really going to be an interesting season. Because you're right, there's no more divisions. It's all conference based, right? So, I mean, I think Cape Breton's kind of on the lower end of the division. I'm not going to say that I agree with Jerome. Where they're going to miss the playoffs? I think there's kind of teams in Quebec that might be up for debate there. But there's, I think they'll squeak into the playoffs. I think we might even see maybe a Moncton Cape Breton first round matchup if that possibility is there, and so we'll see if another one of my predictions is right.
And the team we haven't talked about, the newest team, we were hoping to have their play-by-play guy on, and he was ready to go last week. Couldn't connect with him this week. But Newfoundland, I mean, this is a team last year in Bathurst that made some noise 2 years ago and was very good in that playoffs, upsetting Halifax. Last year, they were right with us till almost the end of the year. We know what Gordy Dwyer team is, and yes, I joke about that. If they're losing, they're going to take a pound of flesh. It is what it is. But I think the additions of Justin LaRose helps that team. You know, Benjamin Beach as a rookie. Almost wanted to pick him as a rookie of the year, but I just couldn't quite pick that one. But I think for me, if I'm looking at Newfoundland, just like Cape Breton, their scheduling is, going to be weird. Mm-hmm. Travel is going to be tough, flying in and out all the time for them. But on the ice, goaltending is going to be, I think, where, they've had Fleming for the past 2 years, and he's played really well. They've always had a pretty good goaltender, but Cavendish?
Vekvanegs?
Mikits.
Vekvanegs.
Yeah, Vekvanegs. And Prue. Prue was a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. It's a highly rated goaltender. Is that enough to put them in the upper echelon? Those two.
Moncton looks like it had success against Vekvanegs last year. Yeah. Playing in Bathurst, so I think that's kind of a benefit for us. Maybe going in where it's not going to be a brand new goalie. We've got video on him, mm-hmm. So I think that might help our case. For these first two games, and Ben Veach is. I don't know what they did over the weekend in Newfoundland. I don't know if they did a skills competition or what. But here's a 16-year-old who won the hardest shot competition on their team at hitting almost 90 miles an hour. At 16 is unbelievable. So yeah, you might want to watch if that guy's that guy's teeing up a one-timer. You might want to watch out.
Get out of the way.
Well,
if you're a defenseman,
go block.
Maybe don't put your foot on. But yeah, I think they had something for the Fires there, like benefit for the Fires. Like kind of skills competition for that. They got Dustin Sharkey, they got Pilgrim Edwards. Like, they have players that can mix up. They're in a great spot, and I think they are a team that can add some players into the trade deadline that I think actually may push them over the edge. Decor is a little young for what they have. Emil Perron and LaBarge are kind of their veteran guys, so I think that's a place where you can kind of add. But I'm just kind of excited to see them.
Yeah, and going back to that article from the Quebec media, I think 2 of the 5 guys had Newfoundland as their disappointments. Nothing against their roster or anything, but it's the travel. It's the travel that they're saying is going to affect them, and which will even be the biggest disappointment. I'm not sure if I agree, but we'll see. It's tough. They're kind of like I wouldn't. They're almost like a wild card. I don't know where they're going. You know, they seem to have a good team, but they're also kind of young at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be, second in the Atlantic. They could be second in the Eastern Conference, or they could be, sixth in the conference. We never know. It's going to be an interesting season in Newfoundland, and then it kicks off on Thursday.
Yeah, it's either going to be a hindrance or a help in terms of just like Cape Breton. Like, if they can put it together and use it as a building block, they could be a very dangerous team. So we're just looking to get out of here, but we've got a finals prediction. And just one last time, what do you got for division if you had to pick this thing?
So finals prediction, last year I was, again, I don't pick Moncton for
Obvious
reasons. But I'm also kind of with Pat. I think we'll see maybe a Blainville and Chicoutimi final. So I'll and I think as much as I think Blainville is the favorite here, I also don't like a team that just goes and trades for all their superstars. Chicoutimi's built through the draft. They've got the chemistry. They've got the relationships built already. And I think when it comes down to glue, I think Chicoutimi's that has got the glue that that sticks, the team that sticks together. I think they've got the group to take it this season. So I'll go with Chicoutimi as the Gilles Courteau trophy winners, with Blainville being finalists.
Okay. I really want to pick our team, but I didn't last year, I don't think. Did I?
I'm not sure if you did or not.
Luckily, yeah, I have everything. I don't know if I picked our team. Can't remember. No idea. Somebody will fact check me. I probably did because I don't care. And I'm doing it again. Moncton is going to the finals because, I trust what we're going to bring in at the deadline. I don't have any knowledge. I'm just saying. I trust what we're going to bring in the deadline to bolster the team. But I trust we're getting the best player in the league back in November. That's step one. Step two, the trade deadline. I trust what Taylor's going to build. I trust our coaching staff. So I've got what should have been the finals last year. I've got Moncton, and I've got behind Coach of the Year, the Shawinigan Cataract, making it to the finals.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, my top four is Blainville, Chicoutimi, Shawinigan, and Moncton, and I got Shawinigan and Moncton going to the finals. So again, I'd say we pick divisions, but there's no divisions anymore. So we don't even get to pick how we're going to finish in the division, and it doesn't matter as long as we're winning. Who cares where we finish? But that is it. That is our final preseason episode, which means we are back each and every week starting next week. We're switching up a little this year. We're going to do the post-game shows, the Instacast post-game shows after road games. And our home games will just be the interviews that we're regularly going to do because I just have a lot to do. And you know what? I need some family time and some work time. So,
yeah.
So we're going to have you all covered all year. Again, thanks to the sweet sounds of Pat McNeil, who joined us after moving to the second spot all time as a guest on this show. You ready to go for another season?
I'm always ready. And if the studio looks a little different next week, folks, don't worry. Nothing's changing.
Nope. We're still going to be here each and every week. For Jeremy, I'm Adam. See you next week.